crew. Welcome everybody to my first ever attempt at motovlogging. So if you haven't seen some of the other videos that I've done, please go check out the bike build, as well as go and check out the Motovlog setup of my helmet. I have changed it a little bit since the last video that I had to do, purely because it was obscuring my view too much. So I had to change it out a little bit and had to epoxy a new section onto the front of my chin. So I had to custom build an attachment section there so that the GoPro can mount actually snugly onto it. So I recently purchased another little bracket as well called the Ulanzi GoPro mounting, and it actually fits perfectly, as well as it has this little space for the GoPro microphone adapter that I've also purchased. And I have a little microphone all rigged in through the helmet. Unfortunately I didn't record that because I was so eager to get that thing going that I spent the whole day yesterday trying to figure that out and trying to get the mounting 100%. So that at least I can enjoy today, which is an absolute beautiful day out. One of the very few that we experience here in Ireland, so I just had to get the most out of it, and that's why I was in such a rush to get everything sorted. So I can try and get the motovlogging set up all sorted for today and ready. So if I haven't mentioned before, I live on the west coast of Ireland, a place called Ennis, County Clare, and we're gonna go for a short little spin just to test out my setup as I have it at the moment, and hopefully everything's gonna work out. Hopefully the sound's gonna work, hopefully the microphone, the recording, video, everything like that. Hopefully that's gonna work out perfectly without any major hiccups. So we'll see how it goes. As I was saying, I live on the west coast of Ireland, a place called Ennis, County Clare. And this weekend, seeing that it's Easter weekend, we've got loads and loads of tourists coming from all over the country, going down to the west coast. We've got beautiful beaches, and obviously we've got one of the natural wonders of the world called the Cliffs of Moher. So maybe in one of the follow-up videos on the Motovlogging series, I might take a few spins out there as well and record those little trips as I go. So for today, just going to take a quick spin around my town, coming up to the Maid of Erin statue and roundabout. Definitely one thing I need to brush up on is a lot more of my Irish history. So I'm originally from South Africa, so I moved here about 11 years ago. I'm still getting used to all the intricacies of Irish history and culture. I must say, absolutely fascinating place. And wonderful people as well, very welcoming, very friendly. Always hoping to help out as best as they can. So hopefully with this motovlogging series, I'll be documenting some places I'll be traveling to around Ireland, especially part of the what they call the Wild Atlantic Way, which is touring sort of the whole of the west coast of Ireland. And hopefully get to showcase a bit of the culture as well, especially for the international viewers. So the area where I'm living at the moment is well known for its traditional music. So every year we'd host, one second. So every year we'll host the trad music festivals. Last year and the year before we also had the National Flair, which is the traditional music competition held all over the country, and they sort of get to tour from one place to another, showcasing the best of local Irish music. So it was a pity that I actually didn't get into this thing a little bit earlier, so at least I could have documented that. Anyways, coming up on the right here is the Old Ladies Hospital. Unfortunately gone to rip and ruin. Might pop in there on the way back. So I'm just going to take a short spin, as I said, just testing out and seeing, enjoying this beautiful day we have. So they're saying hopefully all the video and the audio settings will come out okay. This is the first attempt at motovlogging, so I'm hoping I got the camera set up correctly. I'm hoping I've got the audio levels and everything else set up correctly. Might have to check that out once I have all the recordings done. Just on the outskirts of town. Gonna pop down to one of my favorite parts of Ennis. Lovely lake coming up here on the left. Absolutely gorgeous day out, loads of swans. Loads of people out for a nice little stroll. Sometimes during the summer times we'll have guys on their kayaks coming out on the lakes as well. And then once or twice a year they'll use the lake and they'll use this section for triathlons. I usually close down this road. So the one thing that always fascinates me about Ireland is when you come along laneways like these and you just see these absolute gorgeous walls built centuries and centuries ago, and how it blends into newer structures. So we're just passing a farm on the right, and right next to it a couple of newer houses built. Speaking of farmers, some guys out on the road. So we're on the road between my village Ennis and one of the neighboring villages called Ruan. And I've just thought about let's take a spin out there, go down to one of the little forestry sections that I absolutely enjoy, spending time out on the mountain bike as well. Not that it's really sort of suitable for motorcycle riding, but I tend to go down there with a couple of mates if we go out on the mountain bikes. Short enough spin, and usually loads of hikers and people out walking their dogs and young family members, etc. So I won't necessarily be able to go out onto the trails in particular, but we'll stick to the main road and hopefully just be able to get into the woodlands. Have a quick spin out there and see what it's like today. Should be quite busy. So in one of my previous videos, I actually spoke about, purchasing the Scott steering damper. Unfortunately, that was way before I actually started off with my journey of showcasing all the stuff that I'm doing. So I thought I'd just give a quick mention to that. And for those of you who don't know, the KTM 690 Enduro that I have is a bit of a thumper, one cylinder. So you might also notice a good bit of vibration on the steering wheel, or the handlebar I should say, and onto the mirrors. So since I installed the steering damper, it's made a massive difference to it, and at least my hands don't get as numb and not as sore. Obviously not as noticeable riding at these speeds, but higher speeds, and then especially when I'm out on the trails as well, going into low gear and trying to navigate all the sort of the technical sections. They seem to be very challenging. My hands always constantly took a beating for that, so since I had installed this, pretty good. So as I was saying, speaking of some of the other gear that I've recently purchased for the Motovlogging series, as I said, apart from the GoPro Hero 7 Black, I bought the little case called the Ulanzi case. Bought the little microphone adapter and then the little lavalier microphone mic. So hopefully all that's going to work out perfectly for this. And then you will also find links down in the description of this video for some of the gear that I have. So if you don't mind supporting this channel, if you wouldn't go through those links to purchase, if you're interested in getting any of those products, there'll be a link down in the description of this video. So any help will be appreciated. Anything to help support and grow this channel. And hopefully you guys will enjoy the stuff that I'll be showing. Planning on doing a good mixture of stuff, to be honest. Looking at doing a bit of trail riding stuff that not many people actually get to see in Ireland. One of my biggest drawing cards to it is because there aren't too many guys that are actually into trail riding or dual sporting here in Ireland. So it took me a very long time to actually meet people that would be sort of, you know, into the same stuff as I am. Because the majority of riders in Ireland are usually roadies. A lot of tourers, a lot of sports bikes, that type of stuff. So not many dual sports. And we get loads of like full-on enduro type of guys, but not guys that would be sort of dual sporting. They'd be like either hardcore enduro stuff or yeah, they'll be roadies. So just a quick mention as we pass it, this is one of the tiny little schools here in Ruan, and as you might have noticed, those pictures, those are what they call the Gaelic games. So the GAA, the Gaelic Association, they have two sports called football, Gaelic football, and then hurling. And that's the one thing that you will find, even in a small little village or community, you'll always find a pub and you'll always find a Gaelic ground. So that's the one thing about the Irish community. They really enjoy their sports, and it's one great way of keeping the community together. Obviously great rivalry between communities when they get together playing these sports, and they'll have young kids growing up, you know, playing for their parishes, and then hopefully getting onto their county teams respectively, either for the Gaelic football or for the hurling. So it's a great honor, obviously, if you're from a very small parish representing your county in the inter-county tournaments. For a long time I was involved with them. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a physiotherapist, so I tend to help out a lot with some of the local clubs, and back in the day I also helped out with one of the inter-county teams as well, which is a great experience, especially from a guy coming from a rugby nation. Seeing the Gaelic games is something spectacular to actually experience. So just getting right to the edge of Tremor Woods. So this is in the townlands of Ruan. We'll take a short spin out there as well. Some new houses being built. So hopefully you guys can see that. Absolute stunning day today. coming up to the forestry section here on the right. Now, as I mentioned with one of my previous videos on the GoPro, I mentioned about me not being technically as proficient as some other photographers might be. So I'm really hoping, especially with seeing that it's such a sunny day, we're going to have a lot of contrast. I'm hoping it's not going to be a massive problem. So welcome to Jamal Wood. So needless to say, I'm just going to take it really handy driving through here. Loads of people walking. What a gorgeous day. So a nice way to spend the afternoon. I'd say coming up to the right there, so you see loads of forestry trails out in there. So usually if we come out here with the mountain bikes, we'd sort of spend hours just up and down through the trails. Loads of little intersecting sections there. As I mentioned, hopefully not any major issue in terms of contrasting and stuff with the video and the quality. If there's anyone who's sort of a professional photographer who might leave a comment for me just in terms of what's going to be the best settings for the GoPro camera, especially when I'm dealing with this type of stuff, that would be much appreciated. Hopefully I have the camera set at an ideal position, so at least you guys can see some bit of the scenery while I'm going. As I mentioned, you see loads of people walking their dogs and just enjoying the sunny weather. Definitely not something that we get to experience that often in Ireland. So as part of this motovlogging series, I'm hoping to do parts of the Wild Atlantic Way as well. So that stretch is sort of from the southern eastern part of one of the counties called Cork, and then it sort of follows the westerly coastal section all the way, follows the west coast all the way up, right up until the northwestern part of Ireland. So I'll be trying to do a couple of short spins here and there, hopefully start to document those as well in future videos. But as I said, today's one is just testing out the gear, going for a quick short spin. Just enjoying the beautiful day. Unfortunately, way too many cars there at the moment. There's quite a nice bridge out there as well, but unfortunately I'll have to go through a couple of pedestrians there to get to that bridge, and an absolutely spectacular view of the lake. But as I said, I'm not going to go and risk that there at the moment. But if you can imagine that little lake where we came in at the start, called Ballyalla Lake. So sometimes a few mates of ours, we would take the kayaks and we'd go literally from the Dromore Lake here, and we'll go all the way down to Ballyalla Lake, which is also a lovely way to spend an afternoon, couple of hours on the kayaks. Traffic jam. So I actually spent this morning doing a complete service of the bike, changing the oil filters, new oil, a couple of few things here, cleaning out the chain, that type of stuff. Then I did a quick recording of the service. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen out the bike build series as yet, please go do check that out as well. As I said, in future I'll be hoping to do a few more in terms of different trails, hopefully in the motovlogging series, hopefully do some sort of local areas here and there, go for short spins here and there, hopefully document that. And I'm also into a few different things like hunting and shooting and bushcrafting stuff, so I'll be doing a few bits into that as well. I haven't really been out and about that much in terms of hiking as yet, purely because I've been so busy doing other stuff, and as I say, the work-life balance sometimes gets in the way. And I've been so focused on getting these few things ready for the bike that I haven't really had much time to do a lot of shooting or a lot of hiking and exploring stuff. Just stuff that I really enjoy doing as well. So that was a quick visit to Tremor Woods here in Ruan. As I was saying, imagine starting off from here and then going all the way back to Lavalier Lake, just out on the kayaks, especially on a day like today. It will be absolutely fantastic. Lovely Ford Mustang. Not often you see one of those around here. Also, as you might have noticed, so especially in some of the tiny little villages here and in the west of Ireland especially, you can see these absolutely narrow roads. So it's always a case of being very cautious in approaching the corners. Loads of blind bends and tractors, as I was saying. Loads of tractors just all of a sudden. And then, needless to say, loads of people not from the west of Ireland. No dig to the Dubliners, but obviously not quite used to doing the narrow country lanes. No disrespect to the Dubliners, of course. So we're just making our way back to Ennis. As I was mentioning before, in upcoming videos I'd be hoping to showcase a little bit more of my county first of all, before I start heading off and doing other parts of the Wild Atlantic Way, and probably also take a sprint down to places like Lahinch, one of the famous beaches that we have down here on the west coast, well known for surfing and obviously golf as well. Speaking of golf, we've got the Irish Open coming up in about 2 or 3 months time, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really a golfer, but I think that's somewhere either June or July, if I'm not mistaken. hopefully that will bring about a few international visitors as well, coming down to the county, and then hopefully we'll get to see some good golf. I'll try my best to get down to that as well. Unfortunately, the road going down to the Hinge is the same thing as a pretty narrow road, and I think especially for the golf tournament it's going to be closed in certain sections, obviously to try and divert traffic, purely because especially in one of the neighboring villages there's a very narrow little bridge to try and get over that and then head down to the Hinge. But unfortunately it's very narrow, so they'll probably have to divert traffic a good bit around, a very sort of long way around that, to try and get down to the Hinge. And as you can imagine, it's going to be very, very busy. But we'll see. Hopefully that will be on the video list as well. And then seeing that I've got the camera and everything else sorted, this will give me another reason to go down and showcase that part of the county too. The other videos I'm also hoping to do is a little bit of training. First of all, you can never have enough training, especially on motorbikes, and then also, you know, in terms of shooting stuff, we're hoping to do a few videos on that. But then with regard to the motorcycle training videos, I've been following another guy called Fast Eddie on YouTube. If you haven't seen any of his stuff, especially if you're into motorcycle riding, obviously it's mainly focusing on road-based stuff, but definitely go check him out. Fast Eddie, his Facebook page I think, or his YouTube channel is called Motojitsu, so I'll be doing that. I always try and practice as often as I can, trying to do some of those motor jitsu drills that he shows in his videos. Absolutely vital stuff, especially if you're on the bike. But unfortunately in Ireland we don't have too many enduro riding schools or trails, so definitely something that I would need to do a heck of a lot more training on, especially if I have a look at some of my mates that are big into the enduro riding stuff. Now needless to say, they've got anything from 250s to like 350s, so way lighter bikes than I have. So in terms of their technical skills and their technical ability, obviously much better than mine. And if you've seen some of the places on one or two of the other videos that I've done so far in terms of the trail riding series, you'll notice there's a heck of a lot of technical stuff that we go through, especially when you saw the one in the Foreign. And then on my tires at the moment, I have the Midas. I think they're the E7s, something like that. And they're sort of 50-50 tires. I mean, they're great on road in terms of the sort of the mileage that you can get out of them. But unfortunately, they're not that great, especially in the really mucky stuff and the really technical stuff, like the rocky bits that we tend to go over. So usually when it's down to the technical side of things, I'm always the one that's struggling a good bit, and my mates are always laughing. because hey, look, when you're on a bike, especially on the technical side of stuff, you're going to come off the bike. That's just a given. That's just a matter of fact. It's just a case of when. So yeah, so mates of mine will be a lot more technically proficient than I would, but then obviously when it comes down to the road stuff, I have a small bit of an advantage over them. Just gonna see if I can make a, should have actually made a stop over there. I'm saying this is Lavalier Lake, absolutely gorgeous over here. Looking for a place to stay. Side of the road there, it's the Urban Lodge, one of the many hotels in Ennis. So coming up on the left here is the Our Lady's Hospital. Might actually pop in there for a bit, go for a quick spin around. Show that, check a few settings here on the camera while I'm at it, just to make sure everything is still recording. As I was saying, I'm a newbie, so trying to figure stuff out. So you'll see some of the new buildings that are here. They are in use by our health service, called the HSE, the Health Service Executive. So some of the buildings are still intact, but then obviously the main hospital, that's all gone to ruin, unfortunately. So as you can see, it's such a real pity. But a magnificent piece of architecture like that would go to ruin. So I'm just going to have a quick look on my phone just to check and see if this thing is still recording. Excuse me for sniffing. Let's have a quick look. It still seems like it's recording, which is a good thing. And as I was saying, hopefully the audio and everything else turned out okay. So once again, just talking about the hospital, we'll take a quick spin towards the back there. Now, I'm not 100% familiar with the history of this place. I do think, however, it was a psychiatric hospital at some point. Always such a pity when you start to see graffiti on places like this. See it, it's like how badly vandalized it is. The old chapel here as well. That is such a pity. Really is times like these where you wish that the historical society would sort of step in and, you know, try and at least salvage some of it. We're saying you can see some of these buildings over here are still in use. They've obviously kept these ones up and redone them, but just look at that absolutely fantastic building. Boys are out in force. Coming into the outskirts of Ennis again. Take a quick spin through town. So on the right hand side here, that's the new hospital. Coming up right in front of us here, one of the many sporting facilities, home to a few of the local soccer teams and people keeping themselves fit, running around the fields. Up along here on the left we've got the old courthouse. So hoping it's not going to be too busy in town. So a lovely friary up here on the left. Just going to cross over this bridge, go for a quick spin through town. Welcome to Ennis village. Saying a couple of pubs, coffee shops. So we're coming up on O'Connell statue here. Gonna give that a skip. Coming up to one of the, I think, very few Protestant churches. As most of you might know that back in the day, the main religion, obviously, Catholicism. So coming up to the Maid of Erin roundabout, this is where we turned left to go towards Ruan. Head down to one of the sporting complexes as well, where a lot of people would go over weekends, practice their sports. And also has a nice little forestry section there as well, so you can get out and about, go walk your dog, nice and safe. And then obviously you're into any types of sports, they've got AstroTurf facilities, etc. So even during winter time, as I mentioned, seeing that it's Ireland and it's constantly raining, the AstroTurf is always a good setup, so people can practice their sports irrespective of the weather conditions, seeing that it's constantly raining. We just made it to Lees Road, and this is one of our sort of sporting complex areas. Has a few little forestry trail sections that you can walk in. Obviously loads of parking space as well, a few guys out and about. So it's great what they did with this facility. Quite a few sports fields, and they have a full-on athletics track as well. And then there in the distance they have the AstroTurf GAA pitches as well. And as you might have noticed how quickly the weather changes as well. And that was Lees Road Sports Complex here in Ennis. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed coming along with the ride with me today. As I said, just showing a bit of my town where I'm from. So I'm hoping you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share and subscribe. It will help the channel. Also, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to purchase a few of the items as I described earlier on in this video, you can go check out the links in the description below. Any support will be appreciated. It will help make the channel grow and help me keep bringing out content for you guys. Alternatively, if you want to make a small donation, you can support me on PayPal, so paypal.me/shopbrew. Anything there will be appreciated. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. Hopefully we'll see you guys in the next video. So thanks for watching. Shop Brew. See you in the next one.